Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Welcome back to the Liberal Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Bodio, and with me I have Kaylie Horowitz.
Hello.
And Andy Gibby Gibson.
I have one question for you, sir.
Okay.
Do you remember?
On the 21st night of September.
Yeah, let's go! Let's go! I knew you wouldn't let me down. Hell yeah, man. It's a national holiday. I don't give a fuck what the government says. It's a national holiday.
Nothing else is happening on September 21st that is relevant to America. Absolutely nothing else.
I don't give a fuck about anything that isn't Earth, Wind, and Fire on this good day. Thank you so much. Am I going to get us copyright flagged? Yep.
To the rest of you who do not remember, happy Don't Feed the Plant Day. Today is also the day that Little Shop of Horrors takes place at some point.
Is it really?
Decades ago. Yeah, on September 21st, the clips and whatever the little trio sings at the beginning of the show, because I don't have it memorized, but I know this is also one of those dates that's like September 1st is Heather's Day. September 21st is Little Shop of Horrors Day. Okay.
So I've never actually, a theater kid admission, I've never actually seen Little Shop. Yeah, I know.
Not even
it's
the movie?
Okay.
Not the movie, not the show. I know.
I haven't either, if we're admitting things about ourselves.
That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
I know about the whole thing. I've listened to most of the music.
I've never seen a full production, but I have at least watched the movie. Mm-hmm. And, know the music because it's everywhere.
The plant's a Martian, right? That's the deal? Or is it just from space?
It's like it's from, but it's cast into being by a very special eclipse and other circumstantial sort of thing.
Okay.
If my memory is even close to being correct.
If it isn't, I'm not gonna fact check you.
Nope.
It feels like one of those things where it's like, look, man, we've got an idea for a show. Don't try to fuck this up with all your nerd logic.
It's Howard and Ashman. That was their first big musical breakthrough. Oh my god, Howard and Ashman.
Howard Stern and Ashman Ketchum. Yes.
Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, who would go on to compose the beginning of the Disney Renaissance. This was the musical that put them on the map, was Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine some Disney executive that's sitting in some dingy off-Broadway theater and seeing this giant plant puppet on stage and going, I want those guys for my Hans Christian Andersen musical I'm producing.
I can exploit those guys.
I don't even know if either Katzenberg or Michael Eisner went to see Little Shop, but I remember that when they were contemplating what do we do for the soundtrack for The Little Mermaid, that I don't remember how the lead got put in to be hey, try these guys.
The difficult thing about talking about these subjects is that if you say Michael Eisner 3 times, it's kind of the Beetlejuice rule. We're on 2 right now.
Yeah, I was about to say.
If you say it a 3rd time, this becomes an episode of Defunct Land.
Can we
the ghost of Disney?
Kevin Perjurer, please.
And if you say Jeffrey Katzenberg 3 times, also we're on 2. It becomes a Lindsay Ellis episode. The people that I love listening to have said those names so many times that it's burnt into my head the way that old TVs would burn TV logos into the screens.
Okay, well then how about this then? Do you want me to drop a fun Buffalo theater drama question on y'all then?
If you're allowed to.
I mean, no, I'm gonna say I am, because the whole group chat of the show I'm in is what the hell?
Okay.
And it's just funny and overall harmless because I'm not offended. I'm just so bamboozled.
Yeah.
And
tell
so
the internet, spill your tea all over the internet.
No.
Ruin your brand new wonderful job.
It has nothing to do with that one. It is with the show that I'm currently working on with a production company up here. We close at the end of this week anyways. But there is it's a show, it's magical realism. There's a character that has a whole lot of malapropisms, and one of the running gags is they keep saying words wrong and having somebody else correct them. And there's other times that characters may or may not do that, call it into question, whatever else.
Mine and Gibby's entire friendship.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I am the kid that called my scalp my scallop for a long time.
It's a different thing,
there's
Chief.
It's
There's
pretty
a word
close.
that I say that I'm pretty sure has like a similar origin, where it's just like, no one ever told me this wasn't the way you said this. And the director also did not tell me to fix it. And so it's just like that. It's been like that. It's in the last 30 seconds of the show. It's in my final monologue. I say in lieu. I say in lieu of flowers. And I've since been told it's I send it in lieu of flowers, where I'm like, sure, I thought you could do both though, but maybe that's just been my misunderstanding.
Wait, is the word not pronounced LOO?
That's the thing. I thought it was like an either or, like Lou
Oh
or
no.
So I'm like, I'm just unaware, but I was never told to fix that. And part of me is like, I kind of like it as a fun quirk of a character thing too. I'm now going down a whole separate academic route of thought later for a paper about, hey, what if we just like misassign pronunciative like indicators like that, because that's how humans speak. We don't know that scalp is not scallop until somebody tells us. But so I've been doing that for the last 2 weeks of show. I say in lieu of flower in the last 30 seconds, mind you. This is the only time I say this word at the very end of the play. In my email inbox today at 10 o'clock this morning, from an address I do not recognize, that I have no conversation history with.
Great start.
Got an email with the subject of like the title of the show, sent with care, not malice. And a YouTube link.
I would open up any spam that started like
right,
that.
I'm just like, okay, all right, you'll get me to open the email, go on. But I will not click this link. That is a YouTube link to a video that is how to pronounce Lou.
Eat dicks. Eat a bag of dicks, mystery sender. Fuck you.
I like it.
No, like that's the thing. I'm just like, you know what? Your subject is also like, this is not that it is like, there's a little bit of it that's like, no, it's still like a little petty, but you are at least softening the blow with a sent with care, not malice. So again, I'm not mad, but I was just like floored, like cackling this morning, trying to figure out who the hell sent this to me. I do not have this address in my contacts. And so I texted my cast group chat. I'm just like, hey, I'm not mad, but is this any of y'all? Like to 10 people. And they're all like, no, what the fuck? And so we've been just like Pepe Sylvia-ing like corkboard, trying to figure out of the people that came to the show on Saturday, because Friday night was Curtain Up. Friday night was our big Buffalo Theater District season kickoff party. And so we had a full house Friday night. We were so oversold on Friday. We had a smaller crowd on Saturday, but we had a lot of, recognizable theater people in the audience. And so contemplating back and forth, oh, is it this person? Is it this person? Is it this person? This person? I'm like, I have no idea. And so now the thing we've decided to do in quote unquote solidarity is find the most ridiculous way to type the word Liu and just put that on our socials and see who takes the bait.
This is like your cardboard box trap that you're using on somebody. You just put a piece of paper with like one spelling mistake and you just hear like a whoomp, gotcha,
bitch. No, because like if this were a word that was said over and over the course of the show, I would probably also be feeling that like, I don't know if you know, this is what it is. Like that I would understand. It is in the last minute of the show, of the entire 2-hour show. It is in the final 60 seconds. Why were you thinking about this for that long? Like it bothered you.
Sounds like that dude didn't get the bit.
Like,
Where I'm from, that's the stuff that's liable to get you punched in the head.
Hitting them with an actually when they missed the bit entirely.
Yeah, no.
again-
We don't play that game.
it wasn't intentional. But now that you've brought my attention to it, I'm deliberately making it intentional.
Fuck you specifically.
Here's what you got to do to find out who that person was. If they happen to come back to check and see if you took that note.
Who has repeat ticket sales?
Make the mistake again.
Ooh.
And look out into the crowd during the bows and see if
And
anybody
look for the
is
set of steam coming
Yes!
from the audience.
Look for the person who's clapping but is also like furrowing their brow and grinding their teeth, and you'll have found them.
The narrative Gibby has illustrated is that this person sent you an supposedly anonymous email with a YouTube video, which fuck you. And then they are coming back, sitting through the entire show and waiting to check your work.
That one word at the end of the show.
I would despise this human being if this person is real.
This reminds me so much of this one tweet I saw where one of my favorite authors said, I got an incredibly polite but critical email from somebody, and I could tell she was a very nice person who was nonetheless furious at me for days on end. And that's the exact vibe I'm getting from this email.
Right. Like, this was a show. This was our 5 o'clock show. And so we get done like around 7:15-ish, basically. Maybe a little earlier then. So I'm like, you went home that night. You went about the rest of your evening. You probably went to dinner. You spent your evening and then got ready for bed and then still woke up the next day and went,
where the fuck did this
have to
asshole get
say
your
something.
personal email address?
And so that's the thing that I am still so confused about is who do I know that is or sending me this through like a burner phone, through a burner email account.
Oh God.
Imagine getting doxxed on stage. That's crazy.
Which is why I'm just sort of like, surely this has to be somebody I've worked with before. But if it is, bitch, why the fuck didn't you just say something
Just
to me
talk to
after the
me.
show?
Yeah.
Oh my
What
God.
the hell?
Again, I'm not mad. And in the scope of like recent Buffalo theater drama, this is like pennies. Like, this is not
This
anything
dude's a serial
worthwhile.
killer,
It's
man. I'm
just
concerned for
funny.
you.
This is a very low stakes serial killer.
No,
Right.
we're all sort of going, this is the weirdest and stupidest whodunit. What?
Oh
is-
my God, it's Ian.
There it is.
No,
It
it
was
is
your husband
not.
the entire time.
Unless
Ian's motivation is like bad diction or grammatical errors, and his killing weapon is a red pen, the same one that he uses to edit
To sign your
students'
wedding papers.
I did. Oh God, what was I? Oh, I texted another very good friend who is not in
Yeah.
the show, but was basically making jokes in time with the group chat that I started going, bitch, are you sure you're not hiding in this group chat? What are you doing? But sent their thoughts of like, do you recognize this? Like, hello? Hear Ian cackling in the other room.
He's come back. Run, Kaylie.
But as them, they don't. They like, I don't recognize it either. But I looked up, you know, what in this email address are the code name, I guess, Cavern Lentil is part of the address.
Sure, man.
And so I'm like, I have no idea what the hell that means. And they're like, it looks like it's a structure in buildings. Does this have to do with the fact that the theater is collapsing or the roof is falling apart on the inside of this theater? I'm just like, God, the mystery deepens.
We'll be stuck on this all episode if we keep going.
This is going to be our version of Serial by NPR.
Right.
Exactly. Tune in next time to see if there's any updates or if it just like dissipates.
We're a
into the
low
ether.
stakes true crime podcast now.
Hell yeah.
So, speaking of true crime, it's been a weird week in the United States of America.
When isn't it?
Asterisk, we'll see how long we keep that title. We're a media podcast. So we tried to say, okay, how can we tackle it? Editor Gibby, play the Star Wars bar music as the intro for this one. I need something lighthearted. We wanted to take a look at basically what qualifies to be silenced when it comes to media and conversation. So this is going to be, dear listener, a little bit different from our usual episode. But please join us on this ride and let's find out what happens.
You're getting a thinky think episode, kids. Now sit down, shut up, or I'll turn the car around, even though I'm not the one driving it.
Yeah, the driver is a madman. and that's the thing, man. There have been a lot of debates about First Amendment rights and what that's supposed to mean, right? The words we use are important. For clarity, we shorthand a lot of things, but at a certain point when the shorthand becomes the definition of the words we're using, we lose a lot of we lose the meaning of the word, right? So First Amendment, right to free speech, right? We all know what that means. No, the fuck we don't, right? Because the First Amendment, looking at it, I can say I don't like the political powers that be, and they can't send the National Guard into my city.
They can't imprison you just for words,
right?
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
The liberal artists in favor of the First Amendment,
as it stands currently.
As dated, September of 2000.
September 21st, 2025.
Yeah, exactly, 21st.
But that's kind of like where my headspace is. Just going into this, I kind of want to turn it over to y'all. Where are y'all? How are y'all doing this week, man?
It's a great time to be working in nonprofits and the arts.
And healthcare.
What an interesting time it is to be working in government.
Hi.
State level, I'll clarify. Working with the federal government is an entirely different thing, of which I will say not much more than that. Because I enjoy my job.
Yep.
The core of our conversation is obscenity, due in no small part to the fact that there has been progress on legislation to potentially declare pornography as a felony. It was what originally brought up this topic in conversation of like, okay, what is obscenity?
Yeah.
What is potentially the value of that? And in doing some research about obscene media, I know less than I did before.
Facts.
Ain't that just the way the legal system works?
Well, the difficulty is that taking a look at the history of like the last 100 years or so in the United States as to how we quantify it for legal purposes, it has been left so murky that it's judged on a case-by-case basis.
But it has to be, right?
It is, but it's really not helpful that the legal system very conveniently repeats the phrase, I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different opinion, like, as to, like, how that applies. In fact, we've never really had a federal board on obscenity. Those things have been left to local jurisdictions, state jurisdictions, especially once moving pictures became part of our culture. Oddly enough, the man that the Hays Code is named after, William Hays, was part of the reason why there never was a federal, like, censorship board. So sorry for all the cursing of your name that I've done in the past, William Hays. You didn't fully deserve that. And in fact, it was other people that kind of named it after you. Suffice to say, it's a strange conversation to have because we have some legal precedent for it, but not a lot that really seems like set in stone. This is what I found for like the basic guidelines of it.
Sure.
Point 1, whether the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that the work taken as a whole appears to the prurient interest. If you don't know what the word prurient means, I don't fucking blame you, because who the hell talks like that?
What does it mean?
Prurient essentially means way too interested in sexuality. So whether the material appears to really horny people, I guess is what they're getting at.
Do you need to break out the bat and go to horny jail? No? Okay, you're fine for now.
You also have whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct specifically defined by the applicable state law. For example, places like Alabama are like, hey, we don't like dildos. So it would probably be hard, at least in the olden days, to have a wacky comedy where like dildos are on screen and all that.
Boo.
The final point being whether the work taken as a whole lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. The other two are legalese and not that interesting, and also probably not really our place given our experience as a podcast. I think that last point is really interesting for us to talk about.
Yeah, it's holding a lot of weight.
That it must contribute value to some category or another.
Serious, artistic, political, or scientific value.
Literary, artistic, political, or scientific.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to include books in there.
Yes, very much so. Because movies aren't the only thing that have been banned before.
Some way, people are still reading books. God damn it!
Hey, that's women. That's your people. Y'all love your little fantasy porn books. I'm here for it.
If book talk is all we have to be able to keep our literacy rates up, like all the power to them.
So be it. You know,
let them have Twilight.
Yeah. But it is a real question of like, when does something have artistic value and when is it just like obscenity for obscenity's sake?
I think you have to be able to justify it, right?
Yeah.
And this is where the conversation gets tricky. Legal context, right? It's stuff of explicitly sexual nature, and then we're gonna poke your brain, Kaylie, because you've been quiet for the last couple minutes. Do I think, like, I don't know what states are doing it, but like Nevada and Alabama, do I think they should be blocking Pornhub? No.
Yeah.
Do I think they have a strong legal case to do so? Y'all, I don't know what the artistic value of the casting couch is.
You have to think about it as a metaphor.
Okay. A metaphor for what?
Metaphorically, these people are getting fucked because they're underpaid.
Let them cook. Let him cook.
He is burning the house.
Oh,
we are on
shit.
fire.
This is what happens when we play Overcooked. God damn it. Part of where I think I originally had the idea that we should talk about this with some of those bands, but then also started thinking about it not just in obscenity as we talk about like mature adult content in a usually like sexual or pornographic nature, but also just the fact that we're throwing obscene and inappropriate around in the overwhelmingly we swing the cultural pendulum back and forth every 20 years or so, and we are a lot of people would agree we are in a very conservative and not just politically but like conservative and what is the word, we're covered up, we're very non-promiscuous.
One could even say very demure.
Not quite. I wish.
No.
We could be more.
You
more
take that
demure,
back.
but-
I was just trying to be hip with the kids, but I missed that by about 6 months or so.
Modest. That's the word I'm looking
Modest.
for. We're very conservative.
Modest. I thought you said modest. I was like, sexy.
Modest.
Damn.
No, we're very conservative and modest right now.
Yeah.
And that, again, not necessarily having to do with anything political, but just the reaction to, more open concepts of like freedom or promiscuity or yes, girl, get your bag, live your life, whatever that means to you, like in terms of sex work, in terms of identity. We are kind of facing a backlash of return to thyself, do not be seen in public doing such things, speaking of such
And
things.
let's not like discredit it, right? It's because of the political moment we're in.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to both sides this argument.
No.
You know what I mean? It is one side.
Well, and I'm not trying to like stay on that train, because in that vein, we are now really, 10 years too late, looking at the way that children intersect with spaces online. And again, this is that, like, this kind of fucking legislation and attention would have been great in the 2010s. Glad to see that we're just jumping on this bandwagon because somebody else is trying to do a way to privatize people's data and information to sell it off to somebody else and do lots of other things with it that are not okay.
Womp womp.
But I'm thinking specifically of the YouTube, like, age verification that we're about to start seeing roll out more and more in not just the UK, but Australia and the States. We're doing the show us your government ID to watch silly little videos online.
Which absolutely not.
Yeah, no, God,
like,
no.
no.
Yeah,
The moment,
hell no.
one, the moment it asks me to do that, I'm gone. But two, like, my account is almost old enough to be a legal adult.
Right.
Yikes. That's what kind of got me thinking of that, because there is so much pearl clutching that happens about kids in online spaces. And yes, we do want to protect that. That's not about that. It's the question of, what happened to the parenting in the first place, but also, what is it that you think your children are actively watching, and how do you think they're getting it?
Yeah.
Because I think you're misunderstanding how they're arriving to these places.
I hear what you said, and I hear those arguments a lot. I get frustrated, and this isn't so much comments about obscene things, but comments about how we speak about them. I get really frustrated by the idea of people using their kids as an excuse.
Yeah.
In the current political moment, right? If we're going to keep being proper, in the fucking Trump administration with the Republicans running shit, not missing words. Off top, I said how we use words as shorthand is something I've been meditating on recently. And I think the words conservative and liberal are words that we misuse. Because when you think about their original conception, right, it's in respect to use of government powers, right? So somebody who is liberal with government powers is keen on the idea of government coming in and maybe enforcing certain standards, running certain industries. If we get on like the socialist route,
you're asking for regulation and procedure,
exactly,
and a very standardized, in some regards, way of setting up systems.
Yeah, or just consistent one, right? You can say, okay, what can our government do? Counter that, conservative is definitionally conservative with the use of government powers, right? Where I would say SNAP benefits are super important. The government should come in and do that. A conservative person would probably say, hold on, do we necessarily need government officials in that aspect of the people's lives, right? And then we have a conversation, we debate, we usually find a middle ground, blah, 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 blah.
Or can the state itself take care of that? And
But then again, you're still talking about federal government versus state government.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
You be quiet. We're keeping you safe.
I get frustrated by the idea of people in the Trump administration, Trump people calling themselves conservative because they use government power so liberally. Basically, if they see something they don't like, they say that's illegal. I say I don't like how Charlie Kirk died, but he was a jerk, so I don't mourn that he passed. And the AG says, hey, we're coming to cancel you, right? I say I live in a city that didn't vote for Donald Trump. He says, great, I'm sending the National Guard into your city to enforce the law, quote unquote. Right? Those are extremely liberal uses of government power, right?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah,
I do have like an addendum to that.
Go for it.
I'd like to attach a rider to that bill real quick.
Yeah.
Where's my gavel?
So we talk a lot about the current mediascape as well as this much more conservative environment being a result of this Trump administration. I would argue that what we're seeing has been building for a long time.
Yeah. I don't want to be I don't want the misconception to say it's Trump's fault, right?
This didn't
it's
just
not
suddenly appear.
Yeah.
It's just been waiting for the opportunity.
Well, this shit's been an undercurrent of America was established on the shit, right? The Puritans originally, man, we're getting like pinky in the air politics now. Welcome to the Goofy Media Podcast. No, the Puritans originally came to the New World because they had these ideas, relative to the 1600s.
Yeah.
They were using God as their excuse, right? God doesn't like what you're doing. God doesn't like your
And
these
by
sex
doing
acts.
so, they got themselves kicked out of another country.
Kind of, sorta.
Like, yeah, again,
But
it's
mostly
that
yes.
we're gonna go spin the narrative and be like, we're doing it to escape religious persecution. Y'all were almost like scarily close to being just fucking Cromwellian with how you wanted to treat other people.
They saw the Anglican Church split from the Catholic Church. They said, hey, you Calvinists didn't do enough, do it harder. And then a civil war happened in England. So the English said, hey, man, bye.
But again, it's that level of like, yeah, you like they went off and found whatever worked for them, but it's still that question of like, these are the people who got themselves booted out of an entire other society for being impossible to actually have society with.
And we deified them.
And we deified them. We went, God, our ancestors were so great building this land for their freedoms.
But they in a corrupt kind of way, they did. And then our country is built. We all exist because those people were assholes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And what has been the cost? Anyway, we don't have time to unpack all of that.
So taking it up about 400 years or so, what I'm talking about is, I think, to about 10 years ago or so, based on the way that I see a lot of the cultural pendulum swing. We've seen cycles like this before, where sometimes we live in much more conservative eras, sometimes we live in much more progressive eras. The older I get, the more I'm like, damn it, my parents really are right. This thing really does swing back and forth
man.
once in a while.
It's trends.
And I do think that, like, in a lot of ways, the last 10 years or so have done a lot to embolden a more conservative mindset. In that, I think about how conservatives online reach a viewer base and spread their values. I think they did that a lot more effectively than a lot of liberal places. You think about people from, and this is a pretty wide range right here, Ben Shapiro to Alex Jones.
Yeah.
They cover a pretty wide but overall conservative message. And they've gone about building fan bases in different ways. Oddly enough, the event that I continue to think about is Gamergate, which was about like 10 years ago or so. And I used to just have that always stuck in my craw, that it was a very reactionary movement to feminist ideas or just inclusion of women in like media spaces that were traditionally thought of as male.
Yeah.
It turns out that Steve Bannon was a major proponent of that he was the one that went later and said, hey, by the way, you see all those guys that get drummed up about this? If they get drummed up about this, those are the same guys that can rally and become our internet base for Trump. So I think we've seen this even through the tail end of the Obama term, the first Trump term, the Biden term, and now the second Trump term. I think this overall, despite some social progress in some areas like marriage equality and the very early stages of our nation understanding trans people and trans rights, overall, I still think of it as a much more conservative sort of era. Oh, fuck, we were talking about obscenity.
We were talking about obscenity, but like some of that, and like to kind of swing it back at least into that vein, because again, this is it's a big old Gordian knot, and we don't have a sword big enough or sharp enough to just cut through the damn thing. I remember one of the sort of things that started kind of re-piquing my interest, I think, in this notion of just realizing like, oh, are we really like that? Like, again, modesty culture right now, like conservative, I'm not thinking of improper things mentality right now, because coming up through the 2010s up to 2020, I think it might have just been my bubbles, but we were very much kind of riding the high of marriage equality, of becoming, and especially for theater and arts people very open about, what, different aspects of queerness or sexuality or lots of different identity, very personal experiences. And reading material or media material, like what are you watching, whether it is mature or not? What spaces are you looking at in books, in movies, the kind of content you're interested in? And realizing that there's actually been such a large number of young people kind of pearl clutching about character behaviors, problematic, like characters that are made to be problematic, characters that have flaws, and calling out, well, that character did that thing, so I don't like this show anymore. I don't like this creator because they wrote that character, and anybody who likes that character is just as bad as the character themselves. Like,
What's
here's a character that
you can think of.
Has Been Hotel is one of the big ones, because it is a cartoon explicitly made for mature adult audiences that deals with mature adult themes. There is a character who is a porn star, a sex worker, is in, again, it's demons and stuff, soul contract to an overlord that is canonically an abuser, is implied to have potentially raped this character. Like, again, there's a lot of, shitty things that this is an antagonist has done. There are people that still like these villains. Like, there are people that go, I like these characters. I'm not trying to embody them, though. And yet, there is pushback from parts of that fandom going, but you like Val. You like Valentino. You're a rapist, basically. Yeah. Which fandom has always been strange in some ways, but it's felt like there's been an uncomfortable amount of just like, y'all want to jump on a cancel culture thread right away. Like, you are so ready to just like chop off somebody's head on the internet for
People
fun.
People love getting angry at motherfuckers. Yeah,
exactly. Like that kind of level of things that I thought was only more like a, adults reacting to the content of said thing and as a broad stroke, not the teens to maybe 20-somethings in the fandom space where the rest of us who've been here for more than 10 years kind of go, dude, are you good? Like,
yeah.
You could say you don't like something, you could say you don't like a ship, a character, or whatever, but that's not going to stop people from liking the thing. And yet we are so wholly committed in some groups to canceling based on, I don't like this.
Well, it's a weird situation. Again, we brought up I brought up the First Amendment, where people are they're not willing to identify their own hypocrisy, right?
Yeah.
If we keep it like in the term of like fan spaces and whatnot, I really like the manga Berserk. I'm super into it. I love it. I think it's one of the best. Shit's heavy, shit's dark. It's got a lot of adult themes in it.
Yeah.
There's the funny little camp that I always thought was fake, and no, these people are real. Where people who say, "Hey, Griffith did nothing wrong."
I don't like that.
Yeah. For folks who don't have context, again, we need to do a Berserk episode.
Yeah.
Someday we'll get there.
Griffith is the main antagonist of Berserk. Shorthand, he murdered all of his friends and took advantage sexually of the protagonist's partner, just to spite him. Just to spite him. Just because it was a thing he could do. He also became a god during it, and that has massive implications. He ruins the entire world so he can have his own kingdom, but he's like saving people. And there's this big camp of people who say, "Hey, Griffith did nothing wrong. He aspired, he achieved his goals, got that Sigma grind set,
Which again, when you're to your point of language matters, I'd seen that kind of stuff in other fandoms of so and so did nothing wrong, as it started as a joke in some places, and I think for a while that's where it sat whenever that meme appeared, and then it just became a no, but it's right.
But to reflect the current moment, you have people in those same spaces who see other actions. I'm trying to think of a specific example out of Berserk. They see how Guts reacts to Guts in a sad boy moment right now, and you see him lash out accidentally, right? He kind of like loses himself. He attacks one of his friends, and those same people will be like, see, Guts is a monster. Guts is the real bad guy. And it's like, brother, your favorite character is the Devil Man just because he's pretty, you know?
Pretty boy privilege.
Yeah.
No.
I cut you off earlier, Gibby. You were saying something.
What I was going to say is like kind of what you guys are talking about with how reactionary online spaces can be, and also with younger fans. And this is not us turning this into generational politics and being like, oh, Gen Alpha, them iPad kids, it is not that. It's a trend that some people have noticed in that media often is popular when it's sex averse, oddly. And I'm not talking about things like book talk, because
Sure.
love that we're having a moment for fantasy smut. Hell yeah, that's kind of hilarious, and also it rules. But when I think about things like movies and television, obviously there was a time where it felt like sex appeal was a very easy way to market your media. Consider something like early seasons of Game of Thrones. People were just like, oh, there's so much nudity, there's so much sex in it. And part of that, obscenity and sexuality of it was the appeal. It feels like a lot of popular media doesn't even touch sexuality, or is just completely avoidant of it. Consider the last 10 or so years of Marvel movies.
I was just about to say, I know we've talked about the Marvel, like...
The Scarlett Johansson pose?
Well, not
ass
no, not
up,
even
tits
that.
out.
They haven't done one of those in a while.
Poses. No. It's the neutering, but continuing to keep the sex appeal of what sex and the body of desire is.
You got to define that for me.
So everyone looks hot, like, but they are still so like cleaned and polished, and not like, oh, they are not dirty from fighting, but like we're sexualizing them while desexualizing them at the same time. We are making them attractive and desirable either to be or to have, but they are not like sexual.
Yeah.
They are asexual beings that are designed to just look desirable.
Yeah. Consider how like Tony Stark, and obviously part of this is character development, like starts out in Iron Man 1, like getting it on with some model in like a comedic but still a sex scene, and like later on, I can't say outside of something like Eternals, maybe there's any
Eternals
sort
was
of
the closest.
scene. And there was like a pretty severe reaction to it, where people like, not only because it wasn't very good, but also just the fact that they had any sort of like sex or sexuality inside of a Marvel movie.
They're doing more than just kissing after the good guy won the day.
But don't you think that's one-to-one because of our current political moment, right? People using the traipsings of, I can say, I feel confident in saying it. People using the traipsings of religion and politics to say, that makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that. It should be illegal,
Yeah. Yeah. But like it feels like it carries over beyond just like that space as well. And part of the reason that some people have like noticed this, or at least part of the reason why they think there is a reaction to media and making it more conservative, is because of the effect on young people having been exposed and unsupervised on the internet. Like, which I know I am not the kind of person that's like, think of the children, but it is worth considering. Of like,
I don't buy it. Honestly, I don't.
It's just what some people are like. Perhaps like this is a reaction from the generation that grew up with it itself, that like they're uncomfortable with like how much obscenity or sexualized material they were exposed to, and now like they're averse to it. I'm not saying it's right or not. It's just what like some people have suggested.
For sure.
Well, and that's something that was also part of what I wanted to like bring to the table of this conversation.
Mhm.
That a lot of this in the present day of trying to defend certain, laws, legislation, policies for these platforms to avoid having to pay out shit tons of money. They're about think of the children, think about those underage. So the thing is, no matter the generation, once you start categorizing, again, language matters. If you're going to call something that may or may not actually be obscene as inappropriate or qualify it as such, it becomes taboo. And boy, oh boy, do children above the age of 11 love seeking that out because it is made to be but what is it? You won't tell me what this thing is. I'm going to find out. Or my friend already found out and they texted me something that I have now been scarred by and will cope with that later in my life. But that is not a new phenomenon. That
No, of course
pattern
not.
has been recurring for years. I had castmates who are older women with younger children, so it's like they're in 50s. They have middle schoolers almost right now, and so they're talking about like middle school dance dresses and whatever, and bringing up the very valid point. They're like, yeah, I mean, I might not be comfortable with some of this completely, but like, let's find a compromise, because I remember my mother reacting when I came home singing Like a Virgin by Madonna, or their brothers got caught with a Playboy magazine. Like, we repeat these cycles every generation. There's a strange level of like, the things that younger kids are finding are still in this it's not even about like, it's not gay, it's not lesbian. Like, yes, that's out there, but there's even this level of just like the idea of sex has been demonized or like scares in such a way that it's creating a more conservative feeling about it in younger generations too. We're kind of seeing this whole fucking trad wife shit and all that come out of like Gen Alpha, Gen Z influencer style. That's like, it's not even like young people trying to rebel. It's feeling like an uncomfortability about themselves.
I have a couple of things about what you just said from my perspective. Number one, I don't want it to seem like I'm some kind of like fake ass libertarian. People are going to break laws, so there shouldn't be laws. Like, no, that's
what's next? A license to use toasters?
Yeah, whatever. I do think it's worth like setting barriers and whatnot, just what those barriers are and what's realistic. That's where their nuance needs to come. When it comes to the trad wife thing, in the like political spaces that in the newscasts I listen to, in the news articles that I read, that's a weirdly overblown but like really small space, right? It's I think it's performative more than it's like an actual movement, right? And then again, it's just in response to the current political movement, right? Not to say that those people don't exist and they don't deserve a space. See, this is what we do when we're fucking liberals and we're Democrats. We want to give everybody their space, and then they step on our toes, and then they fucking gerrymander everything. I'm doing it. I'm sorry.
We're nice people.
Damn it. I just want people to live.
We actually have a conscience. Can I say that without getting yoinked off the air?
Not anymore. But I do also know that I'm not a fan of using that mentality as an excuse to take away certain pieces and something else, right? If we go back to the quote unquote definition of obscenity, right? And we'll stick to that. We'll stick to part C of it, right? Whether the work taken as a whole lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. I would argue two things. Number one, I would argue, okay, according to whom, to which they would say the current Supreme Court of the United States, which sure, but and then our point two, I would argue, why does a piece need serious literary value? Why does it need serious artistic value, political value, scientific value? If it's weird as hell, right? As long as it's not like killing folks, right? As long as it's not like hurting folks, as long as it's not like doing some poisoning folks, killing folks, hurting folks, whatever. Let it be, put it in space. I ain't got to deal with it. My kids find it. Hey, part of being a parent or a grandparent, whatever, I assume, is sitting down with my kids and be like, hey, that was weird. Let's rationalize it real quick, man.
Yeah.
Right.
This is something that I wanted to talk about, and I think it builds upon your point from earlier in that just because something upsets you, disgusts you, yada yada, doesn't mean that you can say it doesn't have value, or that you can,
Or that it shouldn't exist.
There are pieces of media, most of the time when I think about this, it is movies that are deeply disturbing, and on surface level, I certainly don't see the artistic value from it. Things like a Serbian film, things like The Human Centipede. These are things that I find deeply upsetting, but I don't have the right to be able to say there's no artistic value behind it. To your point, there are films out there such as Cannibal Holocaust and I Spit on Your Grave, and I hope that I'm actually citing these correctly, these fine films that actually do include illegal acts that should not have been allowed to happen, especially with things like various acts of animal abuse that occur in here. I'm not arguing in favor of things like that, or of snuff films, or live leak, whatever. I'm not trying to say like we should have live leak decapitations be eligible for the Oscars documentary feature category.
Please no.
No. The Liberal Artists does not get a sponsorship or approve of liveleak.com.
Damn it.
All of this to say, even when you don't like something, that doesn't mean that you can take it away or say that there's no value to it. Because all art, high art, low art, has some sort of artistic value behind it, whether we like it or not.
It doesn't have to be good, but that is part of art and art making, is that there is the idea that you can express whatever those weird, freaky little desires are, you weirdos. That kind of had a question that I wanted to pitch, because I've been thinking about this too, because I think that's kind of the consensus that most rational folks would want to come to, is hey, keep it in its corner, but that doesn't, I'm not going to sit here and go like thought policing, that you can't be allowed to think such things. But the question that is, as we go through another round of, all right, the internet's no longer the Wild West, we're about to start trying this new thing to regulate it.
We're trying to put the lightning in the bottle.
Like we're saying, okay, you need to verify an ID to tell us how old you are. But when we look at the kind of content that exists, a lot of things that kind of get put into that category, and maybe things have changed. Maybe I am old hat now, but I think of like cartoons and materials that are, adult media. This is Adult Swim block. This is, TV 16 and up, or rated R. Like, for some reason, this is not age appropriate if you are under the age of 15, 14, whatever. How many of those kinds of shows and games, especially, like we've always had the issue of young children, especially young boys, playing violent rated M games, Mortal Kombat,
Halo,
like that sort of stuff. That
Call
has
of
been
Duty.
Since games have been created, that has been an issue to deal with. Do you think, though, that there are companies, strategies that are actively riding the taboo train, knowing that it will encourage underage, for all intents and purposes, audiences to gravitate towards the thing? Because of that, if you build it, they will come. They will find a way to it. Like, I remember, being 14 and getting into fandom and being able to just kind of trace my way through whatever weird illustrations on DeviantArt. And it's, kind of up to, like, as a, at that age going, do I need to have a conversation with someone about this? Hopefully a responsible adult, because I've seen something I didn't know I would be seeing, or contemplate that yourself, but what is the age when you should or shouldn't be? There's a lot.
Not at an industrial level like that. That's not even something I would consider. And again, if we're keeping to this is the interesting piece about it, right? If we're keeping to quote unquote the legal definition of obscenity, it doesn't involve violence. It doesn't involve violence at all. It's only sexual. It's only sexual in nature. That's why the I know it when I see it thing, again, shorthand becomes the definition and we lose the meaning. A lot of people don't recognize that as the definition of obscenity. A lot of people recognize that as the definition of pornography.
Our cultural values are that any amount of violence is perfectly fine, but any amount of sexuality must be regulated.
Kill who you want, but put the tits away.
No, but just show them off enough, but don't take out a nipple.
And language. Like I've said all this like 1,000 times, but you can blow anyone up. But blowing people, questionable. And any language has to be policed as well. Think about how in a PG-13 movie, you can show people getting decapitated, exploded, dematerialized, anything that you want, but you only get one F word for the entire 90 to 270
to an
minute
extent. You
time.
can't the graphic nature of it, right? Because then we're like infringing on Tom and Jerry. Those motherfuckers get eviscerated. We're not going to censor
cartoons
Tom and
are
Jerry.
different. That doesn't count. Any child can watch those, whether or not they actually should be.
Black Panther in his movie kills like a lot of people and kills a lot of people casually, but it's not like bloody, right? It's not real to life.
There's not gore involved.
There is one thing that I want to bring up with Kaylie's question about all of that, that I think is a little bit of a counterpoint to what you were saying.
Sure.
Okay.
I think Grand Theft Auto is made for 13-year-old boys.
Right?
I understand that, like, it is a product that is rated M, but based on not only the juvenile storytelling and also the graphic violence, language, and sexuality of that, I think that Grand Theft Auto, while maybe not intentionally designed that way, is the perfect avenue for a teenage boy who is somewhat familiar with taboo material, but has not experienced it yet. That is their gateway drug.
But you just like destroyed your own argument, right? Because you said, "Oh, well, it may not be intentional." And it's like it's not. The point of Grand Theft Auto, and to that same extent, Mortal Kombat, right? Because those would be the two like flagship video games. I think I would.
Those are the ones that end up in Congress,
right? Those were made in response to not say, "Oh, let's see what little teenagers we can get to play our game." So much so, Mortal Kombat comes from arcade days, so there's a argument there. But those come from, hey, video games are really white hat right now. Video games are boring. How do we make our game stand out? Yeah. You punch out a cop and you steal his car and then you go, right? That's the game. It is a crime, right?
Crimes the game.
Crimes the game. The game is called Grand Theft Auto. They didn't come on that name by accident.
Yeah.
Right. Same with Mortal Kombat. It was a reaction to Street Fighter, right? It's like this guy just punched this dude into a storage cabinet and he lit on fire. Why is he okay?
Yeah.
That's not how this shit
ripped
works.
Out someone's spine through his mouth. What the fuck?
Right. And they were like, "No, this is what it would look like." Right? And then you put that on with advancements in video capture and whatnot and what they were pushing there. And the audience you get is the audience you get, right? I played Mortal Kombat when I was way too young to play that shit, right? Grand Theft Auto also to go to bat to Grand Theft Auto, especially like I'd say post Vice City, not Juvenile. Look at the stories; they're pretty good, especially like Grand Theft Auto 4 and 4, 5, and hopefully 6. We're praying.
4, I definitely see as different because it's like the immigrant story.
San Andreas
5?
too.
I'm going to say this. I think that 5 is a juvenile game. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But based on like the reductive way that it looks at like other people in like these characters' lives, and how in a way it kind of feels like that one Limp Bizkit song that's like, everybody sucks. Everything's fucked. Like it's a thing that I don't find to like the depths of adult storytelling of something like Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto 4. That's a conversation for another day.
Different conversation. Anyway, let's wrap. Kaylie, closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts on this is that I just feel like we are going to be perpetually trapped by a cycle that is destined to repeat. It's just going to be a question of how, how prohibition era are we about to get? Are we going to have internet speakeasies in a couple of years or months? Who fucking knows? But I as much as I want to be that free access to material, because again, it should be, there's a level of those bringing up the next batch do need to educate and teach and be involved, because it's really uncomfortable trying to enjoy adult media, like has been. And there is a 9-year-old asking questions at the panel line to the cast, and you can see them all very uncomfortable about
It's like, you shouldn't be watching this, Chief.
Why are you here? Exactly. And whether or not parents do or don't know they're watching these things, like my thought is that, as a teenager, you are going to find shit that you probably shouldn't be seeing, but you hopefully should either be able to go to your friends about it and be like, hey, what the, like, or, however that goes, or at least have an adult in your life that you can have a conversation about it with, versus, not to sound extremist, but at the end of the day, if we try to then qualify and categorize and restrict everything down to a fine science, you're either left with nothing, or we've just created a whole new venue to access the things in the first place, and we begin the cycle anew.
Mm-hmm.
And what did we spend all that time and money for? Nothing. Jack shit.
Gibby.
Shit's weird, man.
Oh, yeah. And that's been this episode. Thank you, Jeff, so much for joining us from the Liberal Arts Podcast. Follow us on socials. Like, comment, subscribe. Give us 5 stars. Do all the didgeridoo's. Join us next time where we corrupt your children. We're strapping them to the chair and we're making them play Mortal Kombat with us. It's going to be crazy.
Finish him.
Peace.
The Liberal Artists Podcast premieres every other Thursday on your favorite podcasting platform. The show is hosted by Bodio, Kaylie Horowitz, and Andy Gibson. You can find the show at LiberArtistsPod on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks to Whitehot for performing the theme song Reflect, which can be found on freebeats.io. Now, I'm off to go exploring, and maybe, just maybe, I'll find a sheep that I can call my own. Good day.
And I've got my backup going. Don't forget your backups,
Yep,
because
backup is going.
rather need it not, rather not have, rather
Need.
Yep.
But what? Have you ever? You would
With and a fish.
They don't think it'd be like it is, but it do.
Fish.
I thought you were about to go, fish! Ah! Savior of the universe! Anyways.